DJDUBL.
It's DJDUBL here, and today I'm sat with the Mike Tyson of UK rap.
I love that.
Mike
Thank you
in the
so
building.
much for that. He's one of my idols.
One of your idols.
Yeah, and I don't use that word lightly.
The boxing references in your family are kind of crazy as well, because I know your real name's Rocky.
Yeah.
And your brother's Tack, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll leave that there, but I know my stuff. Man.
Oh,
my stuff.
damn. You've
So-
actually read into the bit. Like,
I'm a fan,
okay,
bro.
okay.
I'm a fan. So I've got a bone to pick first off. Like, it's been 3 years since we had like
Something.
Like, I want to say, I'll say a solid project, but then it sounds like you've been putting out weak stuff. But I mean, we've kind of not really been putting out anything. There's not been any project. So
It's more been just like little punches, little uppercuts.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? If
just-
we're gonna use boxing references,
Yeah,
now,
there we go.
It's been just like a little steady jab,
a
like
jab
pop, pop.
here across there.
Like, I ain't come with a combo like a flurry. I ain't knocked
No.
no one out yet. You know what I mean? But I ain't had no intentions to,
Right.
because my gloves weren't laced up properly, my boots weren't laced up, my trunks weren't fitted tight.
Right.
My squad wasn't like we had the 6 months of preparation that we need before the fight. You know what I
Just
mean?
been sparring, really.
We've just been sparring, mucking about, but we've always been one of the top tier fighters in our weight class, if I can put it that way. But yeah, we got the gloves on, we got the shorts on, we got the boots tied, we got the camp ready. We've done extensive training, and I'm ready to knock not somebody out, but everybody out.
Everybody's going for the belt.
I'm going for the title, baby.
So you popped up in the ring last year. A little collaboration with Zayn Malik.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of unexpected. Now, the reason I think it was unexpected for you, for an artist of your type, to collaborate with such a mainstream artist there in Zayn. So, firstly, I guess, was Naughty Boy the catalyst for that?
To a degree, I suppose so, because I wouldn't have met him if I wasn't working in F Block. I wouldn't be in F Block if I never got in the publishing deal with Naughty. But again, these things happen because people meet me and they generally like my vibe. They generally have good things to say about me, and I have good things to say about them likewise. And then we develop a working relationship, and that's exactly what happened with Naughty, with Zayn, with everyone I come across that I end up working with.
And then the No Type remix was born.
And then the No Type remix came out.
So who instigated that? Like, how did that conversation start?
I mean, it's if we're just gonna talk about the tune, then sweet, because the actual song itself just came, and I appreciate the fact that like we're just asking about how the song actually came about, which is good. But the song itself was just came from a place of like, he's making music solo. This is something that he's worked on. He'd like a vocal on it from a rapper. There was some other vocals on it from other rappers, and then I was an in-house artist, so it was kind of like get Mike on it, you know, and
It just made sense.
It didn't really make sense at all, but like it was more like I'm in a studio with Zayn Malik and they want a rap verse. Like, I didn't ever see it going out. I didn't ever see anything happen, and that's why I spat the sort of bar I spat on it.
Yeah. It was a real unexpected collaboration. There was a few unexpected, not with you. I mean, in other artists and stuff. But I think you take the trophy there. You take the belt, the championship there for unexpected collaborations. Yeah. Mike Righteous and Zayn Malik. What's your label situation now? You still got publishing with Naughty Boy?
No, I haven't got publishing, but I haven't got no hard feelings. There's no tension between me and any labels. There has been problems in the past. I honestly, if I can look into the camera now and I can say everyone that I've ever worked with, label-wise, the guys that we've come across that have come and gone, the people that wanted to sign us never signed us, the ones that we fell out with, the ones that went on to sign other people didn't end up signing us. It's generally all love, like, and I'm glad we got to this place, and I hope you can look at me now and see what you wanted to see. But see it from a place that you can know that we did it, and we did it comfortably. And thank you for that for spurring us on with that sort of motivation.
So I take that to mean you're independent then.
Oh yeah, we are.
100%.
Yeah, so it's just been one of them things. In the immediate sense of the word, like we independently produced the project. We done everything ourselves, all the legwork, all the videos. When it comes down to getting here, we get ourselves here. we do it all of me, and when I say we, I mean me and the people that I grew up with.
So this year was 5 years since Yob Culture dropped.
I didn't even know that. That's
5 years in July.
sick.
How do you feel like that you've developed as an artist over that time?
I feel like you'd know better than me, because no, I well appreciate that you've done the research and that. That time between now and Yob Culture, like, I just feel like back then it was clear, like I was angry. I had a point to prove. That's when I first done that first warm-up session with SBTV in 2010, and I think you can just look at that and can just see the hunger in it, but also the sort of disconnect, that feeling of this kid's got nothing to lose. This kid's kind of been through, I don't know what's made him like that, but something's made him like that, which served its purpose at that point. But there came a point where, okay, I started getting attention off the back of that, but someone who's like that ain't going to handle the sort of pitfalls that come with the attention, because ultimately people are only giving you that attention because you are that person.
Right, yeah.
And as soon as you're not that person, then people disappear. And when I started seeing that happening, I started getting angry, I started getting frustrated. And when people came up around me, I realised what was happening is time was just happening. And like things were just evolving. And I was actually responsible for part of that, because if it wasn't for them ciphers, it wasn't for us creating the numbers, because back then, like, the views that we got, I woke up on that warm-up session, had 5,000 views the next day. That was one of the highest viewed freestyles of that year.
Yeah.
And I had 5,000 views the next day it came out. And that, to this day, is actually considered quite bad. Like, it's not great.
But in
it's
the
not a
early
great number.
days there, it was big numbers, man.
But that's what I mean. It's all took to this point where people are able to just blow up, just put songs out, and just do that. Like, there's a clear incentive, and there's a clear market now for us, for all of us. So yeah, but I feel like I say, what I was saying is, so that's who I was then, and I went through all that, and I became submerged and consumed by my ego, because I had 60,000 fans on Facebook. I had however many thousand. I think I was getting the views. I had the women, I had the money, and I had the things. But what ultimately, at the end of this, not the end of the story, but when the story of finding myself, when I eventually got closer to finding myself, I'm still like 90% of the way there. But I can generally say, like, I'm better now. You know what I mean? And that's what's being highlighted in this album, is that the fact that it is a story from beginning to end, and within my story is everyone else's story, because every struggle is different. Everyone's struggle is different, but within a struggle is the emotion, and every emotion is the same. So for me, you'll be able to see glimpses of your story within my story, but the ultimate message is that you come out the other side and you come out stronger.
So Dreamland is, of course, the project we're talking about now. The first question about that, it's a purchase album, obviously. Okay, first off, it's a debut album.
Which is quite crazy.
It is quite crazy, because you've been doing this, do you know what I mean? And you have such a big fan base. So why do you think it's taken this long to actually be like? I
mean, to be honest, do you know Yob Culture? That was initially going to be called Dreamland.
Right.
Then we decided to call it Yob Culture, because there were songs that we made for Yob Culture that we knew had to be reserved.
Right.
Because they would just stand out, and Yob Culture we knew wasn't going out to a massive audience. It was just going out to the audience we had at the time. Until we was at a platform that we knew it was time for a debut album, which I feel is now. Right. We'd sort of held back and reserved certain songs. But don't get it twisted, like, Yob Culture at the time was our dreamland. Except for we just had such not great expectations. We said we aimed to do such a sick album that not even Yob Culture was good enough. Right. Not even Campaign touched the sides.
To wait to make the impact.
Well, I wanted to build the album I wanted to build, and the album I wanted to build needed to be a documentation of my life, through the thick, through the thin, through the hard, through the soft, just from then till now, and until I was at a position that I could feel like I found myself, and I feel like I'm there now. So the story is told in the album, and I needed to tell that story, and I could only tell that story by living that life. I feel like I've lived the life. Now I'm in a position where I can tell the story.
Did you ever at any point feel like it might have been a bit of a risk putting out a purchase album, because you haven't put something out for a couple of years?
No, because I haven't put something out. And if you think about it, I'm an artist that's been in the game for 7 years, made 3 mixtapes, which are just as good as albums. I wasn't thinking wasn't thinking campaign, or job culture. In my opinion, because these were what I was building my album thing, my actual songs for the album. I was putting them out, but to me they were sort of standalone things. But I put them out for free. I'd never really sold nothing. I'm an artist that's been in the game for 7 years. I've only ever done 2 headline shows. I'm a man that doesn't like making people pay for things, because that my eye is on a completely different prize. For me, that's not the prize. The P's is cool because I could take my son to Chessington, but for me, the prize is getting that email in your inbox from that you just saved. His life. You get a message from his missus, and she says, "You don't understand. My boyfriend's terminally ill. He's in a hospital bed," and you actually make him smile. How can you smile when you're that messed up, when things are that bad? For me, that brings a lump in my throat. It made me feel like that's why I want to do it. What's there? No, there's no other reason for me to do it. So it's about peas. I don't need the peas. But yeah.
Real music, man.
Real. I'm just about connecting with the people, and for me, like you said, like if it's about that, then I wouldn't want anyone to think that I'm trying to push this or sell it. But the money helps. The money helps people. Like your support when you purchase the album, it helps. Like people, if you're spreading the message further, it helps people. It's a mad world we live in where we're run and controlled by finances. No matter how much you despise money, you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you need to make it your ultimate goal. A lot of people wake up in the morning, their ultimate goal is just to make a quid. My ultimate goal is to help someone. My idea of success is measured by the amount of people you help, not the amount of money you earn.
So while we're talking about money, then a project like this, on this scale for an independent artist, because you've got all the visuals out as well, and there's been a big campaign behind this, both on radio and online. How much in total have you spent on the Dreamland album?
I spent a lot less. I don't want to say what I spent on it, but I'll put it in perspective. I spent on my debut album what people in a record deal will spend on one feature.
Right, okay.
Which I know people in a record deal spend on one feature.
Right.
I've spent on my entire project. Videos, recording, mastering, engineering, producing, everything. And the blueprint is there, and I will. It's there for other people to see, other independent artists to follow. Like, it's written there. So if you want to know how I did it, I'll tell you piece by piece. That's another thing we'll be talking about on our global listening party, which is tonight.
Yes, I like how you dropped that in. Let's talk about it while it's the topic of conversation.
It's
midnight tonight.
This is, for me, the biggest part of the campaign. Like, my brightest idea so far. I got a phone call from my mentor Jack, and he said, "Right, listening party. It's like an industry thing that people kind of do, like listening parties. Like, I never really understood it. I've never done a listening party because I never felt the need to. Like I said, I was putting out mixtapes for free, open mic, 7-track EP. Didn't need to do one. But they were like, so where do you want to do your listening party? What, like, little office do you want to rent out? Or what studio do you want to rent out? And I was just like, boy, like, I don't. He was like, what do you mean? He's like, who do you want to be there? I was like, I want everyone to be there. I want everyone that can possibly be there to be there. I want to give everyone the opportunity who has purchased the album to sit there online with me. So I'll do a Facebook live video at 12 p.m. tonight when the album comes out. So I appreciate it's late. It's Thursday. Some people might have work on Friday, but we'll keep it like, we'll listen to the album, not the whole tracks, not all of them. We'll listen to all of them, but not the whole tracks. And we'll talk bit by bit how we funded the video for that song, how this came about, how we produced that song, what trials and tribulations came into making that song, what that song's about, why that song's important. We'll skip to the next track. But all this is going on, I'm going to have headphones on, so don't think you can just lock in if you haven't bought the album and listen to it. You have to have the album to listen to it. And if you have the album, you can sit there, correspond with me as we listen to it. And I think I don't think anyone in the UK has ever done that. No,
it's the first that I've heard of. And they can find that on Mike Righteous on Facebook.
Yeah, on Mike Righteous Official. That's the fan page. So there's a Rocky Mike Righteous Takalu Bagashi, which is actually me, my little personal Facebook, which I never use. So no point trying to crack that Da Vinci Code, trying to trying to type that into like the search engine. Just go Mike Righteous Official. That's my Facebook fan page, and we will be going live at 12 o'clock tonight, because that's when the album actually comes out. So if you've purchased the album, we're saying it's coming out Friday because it's coming out Friday, but it's coming out Thursday at 12 o'clock. So technically Thursday for you guys that don't really consider 12 o'clock the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and any American listeners, like, we won't go into different time zones, I'm joking. So why is it called Dreamland?
Because it's my dream. It's the reality that I created. It is my life, my story. It's the title of my story. It's the name of the theme park in Margate where I come from. It is the dream. I've built this reality. This is my story, and for me, it's all about our dreams. Our dreams are so significant to us as people, because sometimes we sleep on our dreams to the point we don't have dreams no more. Mm-hmm. Our dreams are at their vastest and most imaginable when we're young and we're creative. I've never once let go of the same dream that I've had when I was that young creative. I've held on to it no matter how many times I've been told that, Brox, do you think it's time to get another job? Or do you think this is not working? Do you think that's... I've just hung on to it. I've told my story and I've been honest in it. And I feel like within my story is your story. We all have our individual talents and skills, our individual potentials. As people, it's unexplainable the amount of potential that we have and the power that we possess. It just needs to be unlocked. Everyone is a genius. A genius, you think I say a genius and I think, oh, a mathematician, you need to have like you need to know like the equilibrium or the square root of 1,000. You don't need to know any of that. You just need to unlock that one thing that you can do, that someone can see you do and be like, wow, how they do that. It just come naturally to you, but to them it's so perplexing. Every single person in the world has that. It's down for them to unlock it. My purpose in life is to try and make people sort of realise that through me saying, I've realised mine and this is how. Potentially you could realise your potential through a similar method.
So the first track on the album is Gone.
One of my favourite tracks, yeah.
One of your favourite tracks.
Yeah.
Why was it important to you to put that song as the first track?
Because it is the epitome of what Mike Righteous is. And when someone says, who's Mike Righteous, what's he about, I'll play them Gone. And it couldn't... in terms of intro, I've got a lot to live up to. Like, my previous intros were like Campaign, like You Live On, the intro on Open Mic, which was just like 6 minutes of bars of just... and Yob Culture, Rivals. So like I got a lot to live up to.
Very big, epic.
All epic intros. So like when we was doing this, we was like, oh, what's gonna be the intros? Like, shall we write an intro? And Gone was essentially gonna be the last track, but we decided, nah, we're gonna make Gone the intro.
In with a bang.
Yeah.
How difficult was it actually coming up with the arrangement for the whole project?
Oh, boy, it was something I struggled with and I personally done myself. So I was sitting there with my laptop and Logic on my laptop and I was making all these arrangements because I wanted to make the story fit. I wanted to get certain skits in place so it made the story make sense. The skits weren't happening. I struggled to find a way to tie all the tracks in to make the story sort of coherent but not so on the nose. I like the fact that sometimes art is up for interpretation, so you don't want to be so on the nose of it, but it's quite literal throughout. But in terms of actually constructing it like a piece of Lego, like, it took me ages. One of the longest things I've ever done. It got to a point where I was just like, it's got to be done. We got to twist the cap on the bowl.
Put it out.
Put it out.
2005 is going to be the second single from the album.
2005. Well, it was kind of
right?
like, well, 2005 was the second tune that we put out. Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of singles, I mean, we've got 2 singles on the album. The first one was Survivor. The second one is a song called Peak Levels,
right,
which will be out soon. But the rest of the songs, singles need a big single campaign, a big push. These are songs that we're just putting out. These are songs that, these are songs that we're just banging out just to flood the market, really.
You mentioned in the song that your first studio recording experience was in a squat.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Like, was it I guess when most young MCs think about recording in their first studio session, they think of somewhere glamorous, somewhere that they see on the album cover. Do you know what I mean? Somewhere
bro,
like
don't
real
get it
clinical
twisted, fam.
and
Like,
nice.
my studio was in a squat. You couldn't see the floor.
Was it?
That's how much stuff was on the floor.
Was it exciting?
It was like an
for you to
old
be
school
there
Mac,
still, though?
bro. But don't get it twisted. Like that night, I went home and I was invited to that squat. I never slept. I'd never remembered being that excited. I just wanted to get back in the studio. I'm in love with this music game. I find it funny, like You've Been Framed. I remember when I was 13, but no one knew me though. 16's when I laid eyes on my first studio. Believe me, I never slept that night. I was on some I got a get back vibe. I got to write 3 tracks a day and dead that mic. Knowing the booth was out of use, I couldn't let that slide. I could go on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a good experience.
It was an amazing experience. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, ever.
So peak levels.
It was the beginning of me. That was the beginning of me. If I'd never had that experience, I would not know where I'd be now. And that's a weird thought. And you've just made me think it. Thank you for that. But to be honest, yeah, I don't know where I'd be if I never went through that.
Decent. That's dope.
That is mad. You've made me think deeply then.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So peak levels. So you mentioned that's going to be the next single.
Peak levels, yeah. It's one of my. It is
You're
probably.
singing.
Oh, I am. Yeah. Would you call that singing? I'd call that controlled shouting.
You rappers, man. When it comes to singing, like you like to hold back and not really admit that it's singing, huh? I would say it's singing, man.
Oh, thank you.
How much prep have you had to put into? Because it's not the only song on the album where you're controlled shouting.
Yeah, control.
Right. So how much prep work have you had to put in to
learn how to control shout?
Yeah.
Not a lot, really. I just feel like as I've grown as a man, my voice has developed, and I've learned how to use my voice. And just singing along to other people's songs, I've had no vocal training. I've been taught like methods to sort of warm up your vocals, but apart from that, no one's taught me how to sing. It's just I just feel like something that's in you, in your soul. It's more like a bit of a cry for me. It's more like if I sing, I'm just yelling out a bit of about a bit of passion or a bit of feeling inside me, and it's almost mediating, is that the word? It's like a medium. Right. So I can just get it off. It's like that song for me was the sound of me expressing myself rather than me actually expressing myself.
Got you. In terms of confidence, when you first started doing it, was it something where you were just like, let me do it, or was it like everyone out of the studio, I need to try something?
No, it's more like, give me a few Stellas, I need to try something.
There's a track called The Kids,
which
is another one where you're singing in it.
Yeah.
Controlled shouting.
Yeah. I'd call that controlled rapping. No, rapping with a controlled melody.
Harmonized rapping.
Yeah, harmonized rap.
Harmonized rap.
Yeah.
Melodic rap.
It's called M-singing. You're not an MCing, but you're not singing, you're M-singing.
M-singing, that's it. There's personal details in there, like I feel with that song as well, you do go into some stuff that wouldn't necessarily come up in conversation with a stranger.
Yeah.
About your life, about your history and personal circumstances. Like, how comfortable are you putting this stuff on the songs? Do you ever think like, oh, maybe I shouldn't put that in there, like I'll take it out? Or are you just like, nah, I want the fans to know?
That's a great question. And I guess it, again, is making me realise a few things about myself, because ultimately when I sit there and I pen these things down, I am penning them down to get them out and get them off. I do have advisors that may say to me, you know, Brox, like, tone that lyric down. But I've never had someone say to me, Brox, like, you can't tell people that part about your life.
Right.
And I think it's because of that people are able to, like, recognize the truth in what I do. What could be realer than the physical reality, like the evidence of your life. I mean, that we all struggle and fight to be able to call ourselves real, but if I just tell the truth, what can I say in 5 years' time if you come up to me and said, oh, do you know you said this thing in this track? I could be like, yeah, of course, because that's what I was going through. And instead of coming up to me in 5 years, do you remember you said this thing in the track? I'd be like, I'd never say something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, there is a factor of, you've left yourself a bit open there, but I mean, key word is I, and another key word is myself. I did it myself. So as long as no one else is out here trying to tell me about myself, I'll tell you all about myself. You heard it from the horse's mouth.
Intellectuals Unite and Be There.
Oh, great, yeah.
So this was an interesting one because when the email came through and I saw this is Mike Righteous featuring Vivienne Westwood, I was really confused. I'm not gonna lie. Like, just on paper, that one looks
about
weird.
as confused as you was when you saw Mike Righteous and Zayn Malik. Probably.
Well, yeah, actually, I think more so. I was like, wow, where's this guy going with this? So, I guess first of all, how did you link up with Vivienne Westwood?
The initial thing came from a company called Fully Focused. You might be aware of.
Right.
They're a broadcast company, and Vivienne Westwood is heavily into climate change and just general being a general revolutionary, which I love. So there's a global march that goes on in London annually, and it's a march for justice, climate change, and unemployment. Sorry, I just had to think of that. I couldn't think then. But there's a global march that goes on, and I was approached by Fully Focused to do the advert for it, and the advert was like a spoken word to sort of bring in like a sort of younger crowd that may not care about climate change. Really and truly, what I was trying to do is try and get young people to care about climate change. Vivienne wanted young people to care about climate change because you can imagine like at that march there weren't a lot of people that looked like me there.
No.
So for me to be there kind of spoke for them people that were there that looked like me, because then they don't feel like, oh, should I really be here or should I just be on the block? But for me it was kind of like, Vivienne. I met Vivienne through you know how things are, like once you do one thing for someone and you eventually meet them and they see you're a nice person, you get on and things unravel. And it weren't until after the march, when I performed the speech at the march, after the advert came out, we met her at a pub and she said to me that she'd written a lyric, and I was like, I've written an album. She was like, okay, let's jump on it. So I was like, mate, get on it.
Yeah.
Get on the album. Well, Vivienne Westwood's on the album. We're speaking about climate change and we're trying to revolutionise the world and get through to young people. Why would I not want that on my album?
Of course. So that answered my next question. And so she wrote the
she wrote that. She wrote that.
I wasn't sure if you'd written it or if it was
No, she wrote that, and she came into the studio and laid it down in one take. And I've got man in the studio that are meant to be rappers, and they come down and they take long, fam.
That's a big collaboration. Who would be your ultimate collaboration? Like, dead or alive, if it could be anyone?
Pac.
Tupac.
Yeah. Pac. And that's that.
No reason needed, to be fair.
Yeah.
Do you think there would ever be like another Tupac? Do you think there's an artist alive these days that even comes close to being like another Tupac?
Yeah, I think there's loads of them, and wait until they pass on. Wait until the civilization finds their music 25 years from now, because I truly believe like the message that I carry, the message that Carla carries, the message that Kendrick Lamar carries, J. Cole carries. There's a lot of artists right now that you gotta think, Pac didn't really become Pac until Pac died. I mean, Pac was the biggest artist in the world at that time, but no one really said, he's the best, hands down, don't chat to me otherwise until he was gone.
He was killed, funny that you mentioned some other names there, because I was going to say to you, one thing that I did expect from the album but wasn't there, not necessarily a bad decision, I kind of expected to see like some kind of all-stars track, like Mike Righteous featuring a Carla, Kalashnikov, Lowkey, Logic, maybe even a more Technique might slide in there as well. You know what I mean? I sort of kind of expected it, really. So why did that not happen? Because
music is different, and in the ideal world that we all would like to live in, ideally I'd walk into a place, be able to draw these people into a studio, record a track, and then walk out, mix it in, and put it on my album. But we as industry figures know that there's so much more behind it, and even if these people are really good friend of yours, it can get political. And rather than sacrifice like something that I have with someone over a bit of business, I'd rather just not. And personally, them sort of things I think can happen. Like right now, I want to sort out a fire in the booth, me, Carla and Lowkey. It'd be the biggest fire in the booth ever. So what is a feature of me and Nakala and Lowkey on my album when I could do a fire in the booth with all three of them? So I'm trying to put that together at the moment.
Yeah.
There needs to be a demand for that. I've actually tried personally, but you know, Akala's up for it. But you know how it is. Like I'm trying to convince Lowkey to. I even tried to convince him to jump on a tune on the album, but there's only so much I wanted to try and push. I didn't want to push him into just flipping do it. Do you know what I mean? That was just like. But for me, like, yeah, something like that I know needs to happen. And when it does, you'll know about it. But I don't want it to be like, if we're going back to the boxing references, like a Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight that happens too late.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
definitely, man. Well, it feels like Lowkey's kind of.
He's edging forward. Yeah, he's slowly edging forward. Yeah,
he's on the bags right now. He's
padding
training,
up. Yeah, he's training
on the bags.
Yeah,
but
he's badding like some man up in sparring. That's all I'm saying.
Another track, On a Mic.
Woo.
So there was a quote. You have a line. I'd be lying if I said that I'm happy that I haven't made it.
I'd be lying if I said I'm happy that I haven't made it.
So
I have the patience. Actually, it's followed by I have the patience. My dad's praying because he can't see my talent wasted. Yeah, so I guess that's about the sort of pressure of like everyone kind of measuring your success by how much money you got, what car you're driving.
Right.
But in my eyes, mate, I have made it. I've made it to a degree. Like
that's where I agree with you there because
because like I say, like I opened up an email in my inbox, and it was from a lad who lived in Australia who is terminally ill, and like him saying to me, "Oh, bro, you're the reason why I wake up every day, and actually, I'm glad to still be here. Give me a reason to actually do something. Give me a reason to fight." And that, for me, like that makes me feel rich.
Yeah.
That gives me that feeling of like goodness.
I imagine as an artist
that
there,
I can imagine a mansion and a
that's
swimming pool and like loads of money and women gives you.
Yeah. But I imagine that, but that scenario there is the definition of success because you reach
for me,
to another person.
Yeah, but not for everyone. But in my eyes, yeah. Bob Marley said it, didn't he? When he got asked the same thing in an interview, and he was like, "Rich? What I mean, rich? Me are rich in wealth and health and them thing there and this." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the truth."
You ever thought about doing a reggae track? You got the
No,
patois on lock, man.
I did. One time I spat a freestyle in patois, and I swear I was like, "Why didn't I record that, man?" It just didn't sound like me. It sounded like a mix between Red Rat and like Mr. Vegas. But I was like, the way it come out of me, I actually for a second thought like in my past life, I was like Yard Man because like it's just, bro, it came out of me so well. Do you know some people just fall into comas, wake up, and they can just speak like a different language? There's a word for it. I don't know what it is, but that's happened. Like that's the actual thing.
Mad. In On a Mic, there's an English Frank reference. You borrowed a line there. Now there was a lot of chat. There was a lot of chatter online about, oh, is he dissing Frank? Is it like the way I see it? No, I kind of see that as like a nod because there's nothing bad there. You just. I mean, you couldn't. I don't know how you could not see it as a nod when you know me and Frank are me and Frank. Like that's English Frank and I'm Mike Righteous. That is one of my favourite lines in rap. If every other body had a body on the 9, then every other body would be bodied. I'm a line. Like how real is that? Like, come on, like. So I just had to put it in there. It suited the lyric. It made sense, and I wanted to do it. I've always wanted to spit that bar. And you did. And I did. It worked as well. Yeah, but it could. I feel like it worked for me because and I know Frank. I didn't even have to call Frank to say if that was cool. Like that was cool. And it likewise for Frank, like I know in some of Frank's lyrics, he said like, "And I come to shut this ish down, Water Palace." Where do you think he got that from? I'm gonna shit down, Dreamland. We do that. We're boys, man. We can do what we want. Where's Frank now? What's he working on? He's working on himself and his idea of success is, and he's being a great father. He's still one of the hardest MCs. Yeah. And he's building his little empire in his area. So like he's doing his thing. You know what I mean? He's looking after himself. One more lyric I want to break down with you. It felt like it might have been a Craig David diss on a mic. What did it? Is this the bit that got bleeped out? Yeah. Yeah, this is the bit that got bleeped out. So I mean, it got bleeped out. So let's discuss the line then. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say the line, but I'll tell you what happened. I'm very firm in my decisions, but I opened up a fortune cookie,
And in that fortune cookie, it said, be firm in your decisions, but lenient in your approach.
Right.
And I thought, okay.
Are we talking metaphorically here, or did you really actually open up a fortune cookie?
I literally opened up a fortune cookie, and that's what it said.
I wasn't sure if we were being cryptic or not. Like,
no.
So it really was a fortune cookie. Okay, yeah.
I ate Chinese, and I opened up a fortune cookie, and that's what it said.
Right. Sorry to break you off, go on.
Nah, it's all right. And prior to that lyric being in there, I literally fought my corner. I asked George in it, I was screwing. I was like, I can't believe they want me to change my lyric. It's my lyric. I'm Mike Righteous. This is what I stand for.
So who's they? Because obviously you're independent, so there's no major label to answer.
No, I'm talking about my friends, my peers, my advisors, my mentors, the people that I trust with my sort of career. And although that's happening, and there aren't no real like machines behind us, there are
so people, your circle
there are people that are co-signing us. There are DJs, important DJs that respect us and show us love. That I got to realize that sometimes it is worth just not to, like I say, be lenient in your approach but firm in your decisions. So ultimately, I'm glad I'm a person now that can say, do you know what? I'll happily do that, because it's what everyone. I'm thinking about everyone. I'm not, but I am still being firm. I can put more than anything. The greatest thing is like I can actually put my pride to one side to talk about something.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's a difficult thing for a man to do. Bloody hell, that's difficult. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a geezer and you've like managed to like put your pride away in times of like turmoil, I think for me that's a bigger achievement. Than actually getting my lyric out there and then being all smug about it, like, I won.
So I mean that line in particular, it felt like it wasn't really a shot fired at said artist. It was more just using his name because it fitted with the right syllables to group a specific demographic.
I have my poignant. I have my poignant view on why I did it. Like everything for a reason. Nothing ever. I'd never come out and attack a man for no reason.
Right.
Never. That's one of my biggest. I hate bullies. I hate people that think you can just pick on someone just because you can pick on someone.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I like to pick fights with the bigger things.
Right. Okay.
I like to pick fights with the biggest guy in the room.
Right.
I want to pick a fight with the biggest man in your crew, even if I'm the smallest guy in the whole room.
Mm-hmm. What song are you most excited for people to hear off the album?
Boy, Peak Levels probably.
Right. Because
I don't know how it's going to be received. Like a lot of people used to hearing me deliver tracks in the rap format. You know what I mean? This is me, literally. I'm singing, boy. I'm singing my heart out, cuz.
And is Peak Levels your favourite song off the
My
album?
favourite song is the last song I writ. The last song that I writ for the project, because every track I try and write, I try and make better than the last. And in my opinion, I try and succeed in that. If there's a song that I've writ that isn't as good as the last one, you probably won't hear it because I dashed in a bin.
Okay, so which one is that? Your favourite?
Oh, okay, yeah. The last one I writ is probably Tempo to Dance.
Okay, right.
I think if I remember correctly, it was Tempo to Dance. So, yeah, that's one of my favourite tracks because again, it is well open, well personal. I went round my brother's house after a long time, hadn't seen him. He was in a bad mood. He's trying to run a business, and you can understand like that's quite mental. Like he's running a successful business, and he's got like 4 kids, and his missus is pregnant, and he's trying to like convert his house into a bigger house, and he needs confirmation from the. He's stressed. I mean, and when I see him, and he says like out of like a place of like general dishonesty, because he doesn't really mean it. But he'll say like, "Oh, what's going on with you? Don't you think it's time to like allow it? Like you got to consider like what you're doing now because." And it hurt me because I thought, wow, that's the one guy that literally always told me different. He's the one that would always say, "Man, forget what anyone else is saying. Keep cracking on." And for me, it was just like, wow, this is the tempo of the dance. This is how things unravel. For me, it's not about like rushing to get to the destination because the journey is the destination.
When the listeners reach the end of the album, what is it you want them to sit back and think?
This album sounds a little bit like my life.
Relatable.
Yeah, like that story of him breaking into a studio is a little bit like when I had to break into my office because I left my keys inside and I couldn't get things to relate about. Like, approach it with an open mind and realise it's a God's honest truth about my life, and within my story you'll be able to find yours, because like I said earlier, struggle is struggle, pain is pain. The struggle was different, the pain is the same.
That's it.
And I think we should end on that quote.
We're definitely ending on that quote, man. So the album is out October 28th. That's tonight if you're watching this as the video drops. And don't forget, at midnight, the global listening party. Mike,
the biggest
Righteous
event
Official.
in my album campaign so far. The global listening party, never been done in UK rap history. It's happening tonight. Log in to your Facebook. Connect with me on my Facebook. 12 a.m. Midnight tonight. It's going off.
That's it. Dreamland. DJDUBL with Mike Righteous.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of honored, man. I see your emails all the time, see your videos all the time. So it's like, yo, I can't believe I'm doing this.
You finally made it.
Doing it. Feeling the pressure.
I feel like the perfect artist is going to give his or her everything on the record. You know, I looked up to people like Nas and Eminem and Jay and Kanye and all these people growing up.
DJDUBL.